Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my April reading wrap up for you. I'm excited to talk about some of the books that I read in April. I've already reviewed almost all of these books that I'm going to talk about today. So I want to talk about a little bit about what happened in this month because I had a little bit of a slumpy kind of a time. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about that and about how I kind of broke myself out of that as well. And it's weird to call it a slump because I still read a very large number of books in April. But so I started the month off in April reading or finishing War and Peace. I finished it within the first week, which was fantastic. It was my March 1001 book club pick, and that is an epic for sure. So happy to have finished it. So happy to have read it. So that was really the first book. The other books that were on my TBR that I finished: Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. I finished Walden by Henry David Thoreau, and I have videos for all of these books already. I finished Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I also finished Chess Story and by Stefan Zweig. I'm looking over here because I have them written down. The Death of Vivek Oji by Akwaeke Emezi. And I also read Like a House on Fire by Lauren McBrayer, which was an arc that I got from NetGalley. And I'm not reviewing that one on my channel because I just didn't like the book very much. And it just was one that I was going to have a really hard time talking about. So I decided to provide the feedback directly to NetGalley and not actually review it on my channel. So but what else happened this month? Because there's some other books in there. Those are all wonderful books. Are those all wonderful books? Those were all books I at least finished. I also read 5 books for the BookTube Prize. I only have one book that I'm still working on, which is The Doctor's Blackwell by Janice P. Nimura. And as you can see, I'm well on my way to finishing this. I'll finish it this week, which is fantastic. All of the other books in my group I have finished. This was on the nominated books for the Pulitzer this year for biography, which I thought was really interesting as well, but I'm still working on this one. But I did finish the other ones. So what else happened in April? I found myself on two different times in a mode of not wanting to pick up a single book. And for those who know me well, that's like I'm sick. Like, what's wrong? Do I have a temperature? There's rarely a day that I don't want to read, that I'm invested in something that I'm reading. And I fell into this 2 different times in the month. One time I didn't pick up a book for like 2 days. The next time I didn't pick up a book for 3 days. So it's amazing that I read as much as I did, considering I had numerous days where I was just like, no, don't want to. So the first thing is finishing up War and Peace, which was a behemoth of a book, a mammoth of a book. Right on the heels of that, I jumped into Moby Dick. And so I had my video up last weekend where I finished Moby Dick, which was great. Wonderful buddy read with Stephanie Cohen for this book. I also get to show this pretty copy again, which is fun. So I had immediately after War and Peace picked this one up. And it's not a small book. So I had this one. I also had, a group read that I was supposed to start for The Magic Mountain. By Thomas Mann. Now, I've tried to read Thomas Mann before. I'd read The Death in Venice, I think it is what it is. But that's a very short book. And I tried to read Dr. Faustus, and it's one of my very few DNFs off of my 1001 list. So I had this one that I had read a few pages of. And then the Up to No Good book club that I'm a part of had picked up The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. And so every time I looked, this is what I had sitting on in front of me. And these 3 books combined that I was supposed to be reading all at the same time just was overwhelming and super intimidating for me for whatever reason. And these are not books that I couldn't just sit down and just read and enjoy. They were books I really needed to concentrate on and spend a lot of thought on. And they're also, all 3 of these are books that take multiple weeks to finish. And here I had 3 of them that had time commitments and I was supposed to be reading. And so the result was I went the exact opposite direction and didn't read them. So that not only did I not read these, I didn't read any books. And so what is really interesting is I did power through and get through Moby Dick, which is amazing. But I didn't even really open the Magic Mountain in the month. I have started it now. There's a great bookmark in here now. I'm actually able to listen to this one pretty well. I can't say I understand what's going on still, but this one I'm at least getting along with now. And it's the only really big book I currently have going. The Luminaries is a casualty. It is one that not only did I not read it in April, I'm not going to read it right now. And I rarely again do that, especially if it's part of a book club or a book group that is a smaller group or a group read that I'm committed to. It's kind of unheard of that I don't finish it. I mean, I finished the entire Wolf Hall trilogy, and this one, I just don't want to pick it up. And it did put me in that hole because every time I kept looking at it and thinking, I'm going to pick it up. I need to pick this up. It was like homework that I just refused to do. I completely refused. And so I have made the decision. I haven't told my book club this, but I certainly, they'll know if they watch this. So sorry, book club, that I'm not going to finish it. It's not the book I want to be reading right now, which is really a shame because the people in the group, there's multiple people who found this a 5-star read and loved it and couldn't put it down. But when I look at this one, which is on the 1001 book list, and this one, which is not, there's not really, I can't do both. I know I'm not going to do both. So this one, yeah, it's just going to be put aside. So in favor of this one. But how I kind of broke myself out of that, the first time it happened, I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, which was just a fun, romancy, contemporary romance novel, and that broke me out of that, and then I was able to pick up some other books. The second time lasted longer, and I ended up going and reading some military romance. I don't know why romance can break me out of a reading slump. Maybe it's just because I just love those so much, and they're just so easy for me to read. But I read some books by Susan Stoker, which are very short, almost novella type military romances, and that broke me out of it enough to where I was able to go and pick up a substantial book after that. But my lesson is definitely if I have too many big books trying to go at the same time, which I know, I mean, it's not new. I definitely know that. But for whatever reason in April, I had too many. And so, yeah, it put me in a bit of a slump. Like I said, I still read a fair number of books, but it's just weird for me to not have read on several days. I think over 5 days, I just didn't read anything. Books I didn't even pick up. Blindness by Henry Green. It was on my TBR for the NYRB readathon. I didn't pick it up. It is on the 1001 book list, and it is short. So hopefully in the next couple of months, I will actually still plan on picking that one up. And then I had The Yield by Tara June Winch. Didn't even open it. Didn't even message the person I was supposed to read it with and say, hey, when do you want to start? But in fairness, they didn't message me either. So I think we were probably both okay with not reading it right then. But I did not pick this one up. I don't know when I will be as well. And then the last one that was on my list in April, that we moved it to May, which is this one, which I'm starting this week as a buddy read with Britta Bowler. So some good plans in there went awry in April. I still love this book so much. It's so soft. Just everything that was stacked up in April. Yeah, it was the combination of those 3 books that just derailed me. Absolutely derailed my my actual reading. So, and yeah, it wasn't even that it was too much to read. It's just that I just didn't want to pick up those books, and it just, yeah, it threw me in a really, really big hole. And this month I would say the reading is going much better now that I'm kind of in some things. Like I said, I finished Moby Dick. I'm reading The Doctor's Blackwell as my last BookTube price book. I am reading Wild Swans, which I am over halfway through that one as well, and I have started The Magic Mountain, and so all of those is really positive. But I didn't make as much progress on my 1001 book countdown as I wanted to. I definitely didn't get to everything I wanted to. And I'm DNFing a book that is really hard to DNF. So that's kind of the mix. I mean, what do you do to get out of kind of a reading slump, I guess? Was it a slump if I still read that many books? I don't know. But what do you do? Is there anything you do to get yourself out of it? For me, it's just reading something that's my brain candy type of read that I can just sit down and plow through. But yeah, it was an interesting and difficult reading month, and some of that is spending quite a bit of time this last month at my parents' house and some long appointments for my dad, and some of it was just that combination of those books. So yeah, that was my reading month of April. May's going very well so far, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know why I'm pointing at everyone. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, thanks. Bye.